Hello, welcome to episode 10 of Cellular Healing Diet.tv. David is here, Dr. Pompa is here. We are excited and ready. Let's jump right into autoimmune and why this is the most undiagnosed condition. And most of us are walking around with an autoimmune condition and we don't even know it. We need to expose this truth as well this week.
Well, Dr. Pompa, one of the things that we were actually talking before we went live is it's misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed. It's one of the fastest growing conditions, and yet over 20 years ago, I had a doctor say, well, you've got an autoimmune condition and you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. And I'm like, well, what is it? Well, I don't know what it is or what it's going to be, but you have to be on this medication. What is autoimmune?
Yeah. Simply put, your body is literally creating inflammation. It's attacking itself. We name the autoimmune condition based on what tissue is attacking. So if it's attacking your skin, we might call it lupus. Your joints, rheumatoid arthritis. Your gut, we might call it Crohn's or celiac. So, but really, it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, how they get caused, I always say you really get the autoimmune of your genetic weakness once it gets triggered, and we'll talk more about that. But it is simply put, your body's immune system is attacking itself. That's what autoimmune is.
Now, one of the things with autoimmune, I mean, from what I understand now, twice as many people are getting it as that other major disease that begins with a C, cancer. And yet it's only getting, it's only getting 1/10 of the research.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it should. I mean, meaning that, yeah, we put all this money into cancer and all this stuff, and most of it's drug funded, right? I mean, so, you know, how much of that is really doing any good anyway? But really, yeah, this doesn't get any money, and yet it's, this is what's driving so many illnesses today. Every month, the number goes up of what's now considered autoimmune. So right now, autism is now considered an autoimmune disease, meaning the body's own immune system's malfunctioning and attacking itself. Type 2 diabetes is now considered an autoimmune condition. We used to think of just type 1 diabetes. So all these conditions now we are learning are in fact autoimmune. The problem, David, one of the biggest problems is that the testing is in the Stone Ages. We don't have testing to say, oh, you have autoimmune, meaning you've had it for years. By the time you test or given a label of this specific autoimmune condition, you've had it. You've had it for 20 years, probably 30 years. But again, you're wondering what's wrong, unexplainable weird symptoms, labeled with all kinds of other symptoms, whether it's chronic fatigue, you got hormone problems, you got this problem, you have autoimmune. I mean, it's estimated 80 to 90% of all thyroid conditions are in fact autoimmune. And the fact is that people have thyroid conditions for 20, 30 years before their blood work is actually abnormal. And they keep going to the doctor, oh, your blood work's normal. Meanwhile, they have a thyroid condition. But meanwhile, they have an autoimmune condition. That's what people are missing.
Is it men? Is it women? Is it predominantly one or the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when we look at certain conditions of autoimmune, it's predominant, like thyroid is, more women becoming more men, but it's across the board. I mean, it's affecting, men differently than women, and women differently than men. It's across the board. Kids today are in a state of autoimmune. Look, when we see all these bizarre allergies and food allergies, this is autoimmune.
I recently still know that I have leaky gut. Not that I knew this was related to this, but essentially I was having a lot of knee pain, both knees. I thought it was just from working out. It was tendonitis, but it just got more painful. And then what I like to do is do the basic Suero fast. And so I did a 4-day fast, and I noticed during the fast my knees were aching at night, like pounding. Okay, and it happened on day 4 actually of the fast. That evening when I was sleeping at night, I remember waking up going, man, my knees are killing me, and they never hurt like that even when they're really sore. But ended the fast, didn't even think anything about it, and then I'm walking upstairs, I'm getting up, I'm like, man, my knee pain is at least 50% gone. Why is that? What happened? Because I know that it elevated during the fast, and then it got way better after the fast. What's going on the autoimmune side there? Is that leaky gut? That's why I brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, Warren, remember how bad your leaky gut used to be, right? I mean,
Yep.
you were allergic to your whole world. I mean, you had constipation. You'd go for days. I mean, backed up like a train wreck. That came from.
Yep, like a train.
I mean,
Yep.
this guy would, I mean, forget it. If he traveled anywhere, he wouldn't poop if he was away for a whole week. I mean, it would start coming out of his ears. But yeah, I mean, now he's a daily pooper. But the point is, your gut has gotten so much better. But you're right, you still have some leaky gut there that it comes and goes depending on good behavior. I mean, you're always you've stuck to the diet and everything but toxins, as your body releases toxins, it can inflame the gut and then cause leaky gut. There's something called tight junctions. They can open and close or not close. And it's not just the holes through the colon, but these tight junctions remain open. And that's what's happening with you, Warren. So, what happens is during the fast, your body was releasing some toxins, opened up some of those leaky guts, but you obviously got healing from it too, because ultimately some of the toxins came out. Your immune system went like this, and then your inflammation went down. By the way, that's why we're going to have that conversation about autoimmune, about intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting is an amazing tool to downregulate inflammation and back off the immune system. So anyways, yeah,
one little piece with that is, I know that arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis is considered autoimmune, and I know that you've fasted some other, and you got to pre-frame this. Look, your pain is going to get much greater during the fast. Just like my pain got greater than my knees. Why is like rheumatoid, which is an autoimmune condition, arthritis, attacking the joints, right? Like skin, whatever, thyroid, you name it, with autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, why does the pain increase then? Why is it just an inflammatory response during the healing, or is it a toxicity situation?
Yeah, it's probably, in your case, toxin driven. Your body just released toxins, drove the inflammation. But, remember, I mean, part of it, again, during a fast, the body is releasing toxins and the body is healing. So the immune system, obviously, too, was just going through an adjustment. So meaning that you get a certain gene gets turned on. So whether it's celiac, lupus, or unexplainable symptoms and, all these weird things. Because believe me, if you're out there and you have bizarre things, you don't know what's going on, it's autoimmune. So you're getting a gene that's turned on. But, in his 2011 study, Alicio said, look, that's getting turned on from an environmental trigger. You're getting exposed to a toxin, or what I say, a stressor. And then the last thing he said is you have to address the gut and this dysbiosis of bacteria and the leaky gut. These three things need to be addressed for a solution, a true solution for autoimmune. I found this study after, for over a year now, really giving an analogy. Autoimmune is a three-legged stool, the cause and also the solution. Meaning that one leg, meaning that all the, the analogy, right? I mean, all the legs have to be there, right? I mean, if one leg's not there, it falls over. It doesn't. Well, it's the same with getting autoimmune. Every leg has to be there, and also the solution to it. So you have one leg, again, the gene gets turned on. Part of the solution has to be to turn off that gene. David, there is a massive gap right now in what is happening in the science world in the last 5 years. It is exciting that we know how genes are getting turned on, and we know how to turn them off. But yet in the treatment world, in the doctor world, we're not seeing this. Doctors aren't doing it. In the article, and again, this is why we did this today, because this article, I'm telling you, it's going to be a game changer. I've been talking about this article now probably since we started these shows. And here it is, we're releasing it today. In the article, I talk about this gap between science and treatment. It's like we have all this amazing stuff over here that's coming out in the scientific world on genes and epigenetics and microbiome and the bacteria in our gut, and yet it's not being part of the solution until now, hopefully. Let me give the three legs of this stool, and then you guys can ask some questions about it, because I know we lack time today. So that first leg of the stool is you're going to get whatever gene is turned on. The old dogma was, hey, your parents get it, you're going to get it. That's so not true. Listen, every human and every species, we have 99.9% the same genes. How about that? So what explains how we're so different? The epigenome, meaning above the gene, we can turn on certain genes and off certain genes. When we have environmental stressors, that turns on certain genes. but we know now how to turn them off. It's not reaching the treatment world. And this is one of the things that we're teaching doctors. This can happen, folks. The second leg of the stool is certain stressors, physical, chemical, emotional, and typically in what I call a perfect storm, 3 stressors come together and they turn on the gene. And all of a sudden now you have an autoimmune condition, some weird condition. So we have to remove the stressors. Doctors today, they're not interested in going upstream far enough to remove these stressors, because if you don't remove the stressors, you're never going to turn off the gene, are you? And it's a pet peeve of mine, because even natural doctors, they're not looking upstream far enough. People have silver fillings in their mouth, living in moldy homes, certain fact, they're not removing it. They're not going upstream and saying, let's get rid of it, and now our work on downregulating the gene expression will actually work. The last leg of the stool. Again, amazing what's happening in the scientific world because of what is called the microbiome project. That is gut bacteria. We are learning how gut bacteria plays into our immune system. So without certain bacteria, we can't regulate our immune system. It's in a constant state of attack. We know that there's certain bacteria that communicate with our cells, and it allows certain cells to be made called T regulatory cells that tell our immune system to calm down and back off. That allergen that you just breathed, it's okay, back off. Well, if you don't have enough of these bacteria, you don't make these cells, and therefore your immune system's in hyperdrive. So this science is there, but it's not making its way into the treatment world. And folks, I know what you're thinking. I'm taking a probiotic, that's the bacteria. No. You can't get these type of bacteria in a probiotic. It's like, and we could talk more about that. But look, the bottom line is this. All this great research not making its way into the solution world. The three-legged stool is the cause. It is the answer to autoimmune. We know it. It's like, and yet we're not doing anything about it. So that's the three-legged stool. Every leg has to be there for a true solution. That's what the article talks about.
Did I do a bad job? Because I might not have done it the way that...
Right. Yeah, no, that's great.
Is it gut, or is it supposed to be microbiome and then genetics and stressors?
Yeah, well, gut meaning leaky gut / missing certain bacteria, right? Dysbiosis.
Yeah, I have my daughter's crayon down here. They're in Canada, so I thought I would draw it up for everybody.
Perfect.
Same crayons you use, Dr. Pompa. You're just like my daughter.
Yeah.
I was talking to a lady the other day. She's really sick. She started a natural store for sleeping. She got sick, and that became her why. She bought this new mattress, and it threw her into chemical sensitivity. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. And so she's been everywhere. They've done really well for themselves in businesses. Her husband's a business owner as well. And they've traveled everywhere, done everything. She's gotten a little bit better, and she's had her amalgams removed. But one of the major mistakes for a stressor is they think once you remove the amalgam fillings, there's the stressor. It was the fillings in the mouth that was causing, her chemical sensitivity, and that was the bucket that helped her fill up. But she never emptied her bucket. She's never had proper heavy metal chelation. So if you're watching this video and I had my amalgams removed, Dr. Pompa, I removed my stressor. I did all these things. Well, if you removed your amalgam films improperly, you filled your bucket and made a bigger stressor, in your body. So that's a huge thing to always remind people. It's one of the big ones out there, and
it is, and it's a big trigger. So many people that they have the silver fillings in their mouth. Go to my website, go to articles, the last 3 articles in, they are dealing with what Warren's talking about. You have those fillings, and mercury is a known trigger for autoimmune. I have the article to support it.
Yes.
And then so are other chemicals, David. It's the chemicals in cigarettes, that they put in there. Of course, they trigger autoimmune. But here's the thing. It's that perfect storm of stressors that come together, and I hear the story after story. I was fine. All of a sudden, my husband died, or this happened. Emotional stressor had been years of accumulating chemical stressors in their body, and then the emotional stressor comes along and turns the gene on, and now what happened? Meanwhile, you've always lacked these bacteria, so your immune system is not being shut off. See, it's these 3 things that three-legged stool, and then now you have an autoimmune. The three-legged stool, is a great analogy for people to understand what they need to do and how to approach it. My 5 R's of how to fix a cell, that's how you change gene expression. That's the answer on that leg. Going upstream, reading those heavy metal articles and removing these stressors, especially the ones that bioaccumulate in our body. Cellular detox, that's the answer for that life. Replacing bacteria, which, again, read some articles I wrote. I wrote an article that says probiotics, not just an answer for digestion. Has nothing to do with probiotics. I make the point. Read that article. Intermittent fasting we use to change that gut, heal that gut. We have really come a long way. And I think you'll enjoy the article, folks, because there's so much information in there. And I know it's a game changer. This information is really cutting edge. It's bringing the exciting science that's happened in the last 5 or 10 years together really with some new answers. And that's the point of why I was really excited about writing the article.